Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, would you look at that? We finally hit Tier 3 in Iconoclast, which I suppose is what that brief bridge ceremony was all about. I will say, a little earlier than I expected, even though we have been going pretty heavy on the Iconoclast choices. I guess that reflects some recent changes they made to rebalance how many points it takes to reach each tier. I think that was a change that was just introduced in patch 1.3, so that's likely what catapulted us over that threshold. I suppose that also gives us an excuse to make a few more dogmatic or even heretical choices moving forward. I mean, we are now locked out of Tier 3 in both of those categories, but I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be a terrible thing to bank the first trait or two. For now, though, we get to enjoy this, the Tier 3 perk for Iconoclast, Courage and Steel, which gives us a discount on heroic acts. Certainly a welcome bonus. We're also within spitting distance of level 35, which puts us just one shy of Exemplar, our third and final archetype. Again, earlier than expected, but I guess, aside from patch 1.3, the DLC really does kind of throw off the curve when it comes to XP growth. Oh, I've also been told that we should double-check every sector we pass through. Apparently there's a bunch of new events. Not that, though. I believe we have seen that one before. Now, Muro 79. Let's pop her head in real quick. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. I mean, look. The Explorator station we're familiar with. That's where we can trade fuel for other resources, but this is new. Lord Captain, we have an Imperial Navy squadron preparing to engage a pirate mob. The forces of both flotillas are comparable. Do you wish to intervene? Well, that depends, Vigdis. Hail the Imperial fleet. Let's find out what they're trying to do. Greetings, Rogue Trader. We have tracked down a gang of murderers led by the notorious criminal, Lucretia van der Roysen. This woman is responsible for many atrocities, including the murder of her own father, the planetary governor of the Imperial world Exsellsior. She conspired with Void Rabble, helped them commit a massacre on her home planet, became their leader, and now she is running amok. I invite you to join me in bringing her to justice. Well, you know what, Admiral Sarhal, I might just take you up on that, but, one sec, just need to make another call real quick. Vigdis, hail the other fleet. Let's see what they have to say about this. Your Lordship, this is Princess Lucretia van der Roysen. I beg you, do not remain on the sidelines. That old ruffian, Admiral Sarhal, is willing to kill thousands of people just to get me. He is not a force of justice. He is obsessed with his own personal desires. He has been stalking me for years. He got my father to agree to our wedding, and even now refuses to give up. Please protect me and the handful of freedom fighters like myself. We do not want to be ruled by tyrants like Sarhal. Oh, okay. So a pretty basic he said, she said scenario. Though I can't help but note the general similarities between this and Pirates of the Caribbean, with Norrington and Elizabeth as opposed to Sarhal and Lucretia. Obviously neither is really giving us much in the way of verifiable information. We can't ask further questions. From a purely pragmatic standpoint, we could really use the pirate rep more than the Imperial Navy rep. Long term, I've been told we'll have no trouble capping out our naval rep, just from ship battles alone. In fact, even if we side with Lucretia here, we'll still get parts that we can then turn over to the Imperial Navy. Yeah, you know what? We'll go with my gut. If this is indeed a nod to Pirates of the Caribbean, then Sarhal is our baddie. Ravor, lock guns on the Imperial vessels.
Pirate sympathizers,
You have been identified and will be held to Imperial justice. The Voxcaster emits a loud crack, as if it had been thrown against a wall. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we'll see how this turns out. I mean, look, it was either this or just skip the fight entirely, and where's the fun in that?
The litany of ordnance rings out across our decks.
Anomaly tutorial, better late than never. Oh, wow. My goodness, this feels like a bit much, but you know what? I guess it does feel like our first real, legitimate, epic space battle. Oh, that is a gorgeous flagship. A shame we can't get something like that ourselves. Though I suppose, story-wise, it would kind of undermine a lot of the plots built around things hidden on our own ship. And we're up. All right, let's beeline straight for that flagship. We'll do some damage en route, but Sarhal's our primary target. We'll let the rest of the chaff all thin each other out. Why is our port gun down? Does flak take an extra round to load or something? If it does, I'm definitely unequipping it, because losing our port guns during our opening alpha strike is pretty rough. Yeah, it's down. Weird. I will have to look into that. But for now, we will simply adapt. I was hoping it was just a display error.
Detecting a vulnerability in the enemy's defenses.
Shields to starboard. And fingers crossed. Sword 5. Show me what you got. That nebula causes you to explode.
Where we tread, the unfaithful fall.
Hey, nice. Yeah, they're so focused on each other, they're barely paying us any mind. That suits us just fine. Evasion Nebula. I like the concept of the nebulas and such, but just, you know, it feels like they're best avoided regardless. They all seem to have their downsides. And generally speaking, with space battles, you want to end them as quickly as possible. Speaking of which, Coming in for a full broadside. Oh, come on. All right. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Shields to 4. Hold. This might get messy. Wow, Sarhal's fleet actually got spanked pretty quick. Ow. Oh, you jerk. Pushed forward just so they could bypass our reinforced. I respect that. Goodbye. Oh, shit. I'm sorry, I really thought that would blow you up. Here, allow me to rectify.
Burn in the fires of retribution.
Yep, I'd say that's about as rectified as it gets. Which just leaves this guy behind us. Let's swing around, wrap this up. Oh, shoot, I should have used the... No, I couldn't use the macro cannon reset. We already used Argenta's torpedo power. Oh, for goodness sake. Alright, you know what? You guys have got this handled. I'll just get out of your way. Or Sword 5 can do it. That also works. Oh, yeah, that is a huge stack of Imperial rep right there. Your Lordship, I cannot tell you how grateful I am. Please accept my sincere appreciation and a shuttle with gifts. In addition to the spoils taken from the defeated enemy, the presents include a very special item. The old bastard Sarhal was very proud to possess it. I will send word of your kindness to all corners of the expanse, and let the Fellowship of the Void know that you are a friend to the free people. And that nets us Sniper's Bravado. Whenever the wearer's single-shot range attacks deal at least a quarter of the target's maximum wounds, the target is also blinded, staggered, or slowed for 1 round. That's not bad at all, though it is a bit redundant since we do have that hypnotic pendant. Really comes down to what we currently have slotted. I'll have to double check that. Also, +2 profit factor and +1000 rep. Very nice. Happy to help, Princess Royson. What's your next move? We're going to a place where there are no ranks, no authority, no tyrants, no arranged marriages. I hope our paths will cross again one day. But for now, I bid you farewell. Sounds good to me. Not seeing any red flags there. I was half expecting a rug pull, but no, seems like she's playing it pretty straight. That does seem to reinforce the idea that Sarhal was just a bitter, rejected, would-be suitor. Oh, shoot, are those our stun goggles? They are indeed. Shoot, no, we get way more use out of the self-calibrating goggles than we would from... I mean... yeah, the Sniper's Bravado is fun, and I would love to rock a cool helmet, but at the same time, consistently stunning an opponent is much more useful than these other effects, especially since, as aforementioned, we're also rocking the Hypnotizing Pendant. Still, +2 profit factor, +1000 rep, and a boatload of parts. More than worth our time. Nothing going on with our colonies, at least nothing we can handle from here, so we move on. Next up, Langren's Belt. Lord Captain, an urgent report from the vessel's shrine. A group of unknown assailants has invaded his temple and plundered the incorruptible relics of your ancestors, slaughtering devout worshippers as they went. The high factotum is among the casualties. Had Master Montag and Mistress Sourbeck not arrived in time... Fortunately, Master Danrock survived and remains conscious, albeit in great pain. He implores your lordship to come to the temple and hear his confession. Confession? And so it comes to pass. Cabela's somber voice fills the broadcast. I performed a reading of his tarot after the morning watch siren, but the visions sent by the Undying One were too indistinct. I saw rivers of blood flowing toward the bones of the dead, and a blurred figure, laughing, treading upon the ashes of the fallen. It is now clear, the Undying One desires me to follow the figure's tracks. Thus, my hunt begins. Oh, and right into it, my goodness. Okay, yeah. Yeah, by all means, let's check this out. How many Genestealer events could they possibly have in Act 2? Like, we have the entire second half of the game ahead of us. So, like, what are they saving for Acts 3 and 4? Place still looks pretty intact. Yeah, so these are just normal. So what did they steal? Sourbeck? Montag? Montag, of course you're here. Traitorous vermin! I'll get you, wherever you are. Lord Captain, the great relic has been stolen. This is sacrilege. Uh-huh. Hey, Danrock, how you holding up, buddy? The Master-at-Arms is barking orders. Confessor Adalbert is murmuring a prayer, and the Infernus Master is circling the chapel with a keen eye, as if watching for a threat. Gabella quickly sweeps her gaze over the destruction before focusing on the bloody footprints that stretch from the ruins of the reliquary. The High Factotum's velvet coat is streaked with blood, and Janris himself is deathly pale. A Medicae officer is working on the black gunshot wound on his chest, and Janris grunts faintly with every touch. He focuses his eyes on you with tremendous effort. "Forgive me for not greeting your lordship with a bow. I must tell you, Nemesis has stolen the great relic." Yet another Nemesis. They sure seem to get a lot of mileage out of that old wives' tale. Yes, well, this old wives' tale was blessed with amazing corporeality. Whoever the bastard in the red scarf was, he went by that name, and spoke very impertinently of your lordship. He dared to mock your generosity, and sneeringly thanked you for the supplies you used to pacify the serfs of the Foundry Bay. The scoundrel boasted that his fighters have made good use of the gifts. Just another arrogant rebel, wrapping himself in a crimson rag and wreaking havoc for the adoration of the commoners. Not this time. No one has ever dared to raid the upper decks before. Never in the ship's history has the fury of the rabble been so blind and fierce. Yeah, well, we do certainly live in interesting times. Janris, why don't you tell me exactly what happened? Don't skimp on the details. Anything could be a clue. Serfs in red headscarves burst into the chapel and started shooting. Their leader made for the relic, the remains of the honorable rogue traders brought here from the mutant-sullied crypt. And when I realized that the sacred ashes of your ancestors were about to fall into the filthy hands of a heretic, one intent on desecrating the glorious dynasty, no, that could not be allowed to happen. I blocked his path. Janris briefly closes his eyes, gathering his strength. The bastard allowed himself a few vile insults against me, which I am obliged to omit. But I did not give in to the provocation. I was hoping to buy myself some time. Then this so-called Nemesis started reviling the customs of the ship, berating its officers and enforcers, before insulting the very name of your lordship yourself. I threw my glove in his face and demanded a duel, but the honorless villain just shot me. He laughed at me, the depraved creature. He winces, either from a new burst of pain or from the memory of the humiliation he so recently endured. And then he committed sacrilege by stealing the relic and shattering the sarcophagus. Forgive me, your lordship. I have failed to preserve the sacred ashes of your ancestors. Yeah, sucks, but I wouldn't sweat it, Danrock. I'm more concerned about the living than the dead. I'm just glad you're relatively all right. And honestly, I mean, I feel like you really did more than anyone could have expected you to. You gaze upon the altar. The reliquary has been brutally smashed, and the bed on which the sacred ashes of the past rogue traders and their servants once rested is now empty. Danrock, what exactly did Nemesis say about me? I beg forgiveness, your lordship. I dare not repeat his slander. It's fine. I know you're loath to repeat the insults, but like I said, anything could be a clue. Trust me, I'll make him pay. He called you a ghoul who sits on a throne of bones, feasting on the raw flesh of his servants. Forgive me, your lordship. Merely repeating these foul words is making me ill. No, that's probably just the shock settling in. You did get shot. So, Danrock, Vigdis told me you had something to confess? Was it just about not being able to protect the relic, or was there more to it? I No, I had to apologize to you. I had to repent. He grimaces bitterly. For many years, I did my best to serve the dynasty, but at the most crucial hour, I failed. Shame scorches my pathetic, cowardly heart. Your lordship, I had to tell you how deeply remorseful I am. No, it's fine. You really did more than I really could have ever expected you to. Also, I feel like you're maybe kind of playing this up a bit. There's no way they would actually kill our high factotum as part of an unrelated DLC. It's fine, Danrock. I applaud your loyalty and courage, if not your wisdom or restraint. Proud to serve the dynasty. Janris's thoughts are becoming muddled. The papers, your lordship. Have the clerk double-check the freight bills. I did not have time to get the seals. My will is in the left-hand drawer. All right, bud, you gotta chill. You're not gonna die. Wait, are you? No. How bad is it? He's losing a lot of blood. The Medicaid officer casts a worried look at you. I advise you to hurry. Master Danrock should be on the surgeon's table as soon as possible. Oh, shit. Okay, so I guess it is serious. I still don't think he's going to die, but... Noted. I am holding on, your lordship. Worry not. What matters now is that you recover the relic. The factotum groans as the Medicaid officer pulls the blood-soaked bandages aside and shakes his head dolefully. Some miracle preserved Master Danrock's life long enough that he might address you. His fate now rests in the hands of the Emperor. May he show mercy to this selfless man. Yeah. Heinrich, did you see anything? Were you here when it happened? I did not. I was on my way to offer a prayer when I heard gunfire and ran as fast as I could. When I got here, I saw Master Danrock, and I think the next thing I did was just to press his wound and spout curses. Heinrich looks at his bloodied hands in confusion. So much for being a heroic repairman. I wasn't much use, was I? Right, so you missed the main event, but you're here just in time to keep tabs on what happens after. That does track. Jocasta, how could this happen? How did the rebels get this far into the upper decks? Sourback mutters through clenched teeth. They had help. We have discovered the hidden corpses of several chapel attendants. The traitors took their clothes and led Nemesis and his accomplices straight past the patrols. Confessor Adalbert ruefully shakes his head. They were good people, pious people. They never slighted a serf in their lives. Why punish them? His face grows darker. I swear that these innocents will be avenged. May the Emperor be my witness. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I've taken a personal interest in this one, Padre. I'll have a hand in seeing it's properly resolved. May the Emperor protect your... The factotum's eyes roll back as his enormous frame gives a convulsive shudder. Okay, well, hold on. The Medicaid officer snatches a syringe of stimulant and speaks decisively. Apologies, your lordship, but we are taking Master Danrock away. He is unable to tell you anything more at present, and every second of delay could cost him his life. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I knew they wouldn't actually let him die. That would be wild for an actual core campaign character. Like, all of the actual DLC officers are definitely still on the chopping block. Adalbert, Heinrich, Jocasta, Forius, who's conspicuously absent. I'm sure Danrock will be fine. At least for now. I mean, he might still die as part of the core story, but that is yet to be seen. Heinrich watches the limp body of the factotum get carried away, and chews grimly on the low stick that has appeared between his teeth. So, what do we have so far? Master Danrock is on his deathbed. All the attackers are either dead or have absconded along with the sacred relic. And the witnesses all agree on this one thing. Nemesis and his accomplices came out of nowhere and struck suddenly. Only the throne knows where we can find those bastards now. Heinrich prompting us to share our plans. We will find them. Sourback's voice is full of terrible fury. We will turn this vessel inside out if we must. There is nowhere even a void rat can... There is no need. The Blood's whisper will lead us to Nemesis. Cabela's words make the two exchange puzzled glances. The Blood's whisper. Kibbles, are you having another totally non-psychic vision? Yes and no. His tarot guided me here and told me of the evil that lurked in the shrine. But beyond that, the bloody path carelessly tread by the raiders will reveal the truth. With all due respect, Spinner, the enforcers have already questioned all the witnesses and compiled an extensive list of evidence, none of which tells us how or where the troublemaker calling himself Nemesis might have escaped to. No, let her cook. She may not look it, but Kibbles here is, in fact, an expert in Medicae and forensic science. What have you got for me, Kibbs? Cabela sharply turns to face the crimson splashes on the floor and walls of the shrine. Her pupils dilate, threatening to drown her irises in darkness. Her expression turns distant, her voice becoming low and strange. This blood is drawn in a pattern of retribution. The one who spilt it appeared later. They moved swiftly and furiously, numb to their own wounds. An enforcer who was drawn to the gunfire and witnessed the sacrilege? Probably. Okay, so less CSI and more PSI. Hey, whatever works. As for this pattern, Cabela points to a barely visible chain of scarlet droplets. It was made in fury and desperation. The one who left it was wounded, but they did not flee. They fought back while they could, and then they retreated into the darkness. Cabela's eyes close and she falls silent. Then she exhales sharply and points a steel claw. Into the darkness of the maintenance tunnels, hidden within the walls of the shrine. Wow, so you gleaned all that from a couple of bloodstains with your eyes closed. That is quite the display of totally mundane, non-psychic skill. Color me impressed. And you're sure this wasn't just like a vision? There is no need for revelations from the Undying Emperor here. For one who has dedicated their life to understanding the tenets of the web, death speaks a language clearer than any words. Blood writes the chronicles of the final hour, and it holds all the answers. It speaks to me. It can tell me with what instrument it was spilt, what its owner felt, whether they struggled in terror or were as cold as the steel of a blade, at what moment and how the thread snapped. For a spinner, no two wounds are alike, and each scarlet drop carries a message from the Undying One. Okay. I'm glad she's on our side. Heinrich scratches the back of his head, smiling wryly. Are you? Honestly, I feel like it's the one thing you maybe didn't plan for. Okay, so we know they use the maintenance tunnels. We'll have to go in after them. If only we knew some group on this ship who was intimately familiar with those tunnels. The technical corridors extend hundreds of meters in different directions. Nemesis and his men must be familiar with the tunnels and possess either a map or a guide. Without a clear trail, the enforcers risk getting lost and wasting valuable time. Not to mention the fact that those narrow tunnels are perfect for an ambush. Right, so you're telling me the enforcers don't know the tunnels. Darn, I guess we'll have to look somewhere else. Who else might we turn to? Heinrich, any ideas? The tunnels only answer the question of how he left. Now death will tell us where he is heading. Yes, of course, please. Use your totally normal skills. As if in a trance, Cabela leans over a body and peers into its eyes. He stinks of smoke. The smoke of singed coveralls, vile low sticks, burnt sacred unguents, and charred meat. She slides a pale hand along the dead man's skin and snakes it under the sleeve of his coveralls, which he pushes back to reveal a fresh burn, bandaged with a torn scrap of shirt. Low sticks, you say? Well, lo and behold. Her steel claw digs into the dead man's arm. Your wound holds the answer. You dressed it carefully. Not inside the shrine. Before that, something struck you, ripped the tissue apart, burned you, turned your hand into a worthless lump. It was not fire, no. Drawing a ragged breath, Cabela opens her eyes. The fury of the conductive charge. It has marked you, heretic. I recognize your wound, for I myself have encountered it on those I take to the other side, within the plasma drive chambers. Because goodness knows, we certainly don't know any other chain-smoking individuals with hands that were burnt to a lump by plasma charges. Nope, that's gotta be unique to just that specific compartment. The plasma drives, you're sure? The Undying One has blessed me with the ability to see the truth in death. How can anyone doubt the revelations his blessing bestows? Yeah, silly me. I can't say if it's worth drawing conclusions based on a conversation with a corpse. But if it is, then I concur with the esteemed spinner's findings. The Infernus Master spits out the chewed-up low stick and immediately produces another. All that about burns, the conductive charge, and the smell of cheap blow immediately made me think of the plasma drive technical compartments. Makes sense to me. Uh-huh. Though to be fair, we did hear a conversation back in the plasma drive chamber earlier about an individual who did specifically lean against the plasma drive and burn his hand off or something. That was one of a handful of environmental conversations we eavesdropped on. Still, though, I mean, come on. Dude swapped out his low sticks while talking to us. I mean, it's definitely not conclusive, but come on. I will say, though, I am marginally surprised he didn't try to take charge and lead us into the tunnels, into a possible ambush scenario. We'll see if he tries to inject himself again. Sourbeck, we have our lead. We're headed back to the plasma drive. No, Dom and Valin, you must stay. You are the one that Nemesis has challenged, and those we hunt know you by sight. You will frighten away the prey, and we will lose the trail until the next tragedy occurs. Cabela's unblinking gaze meets your own. Well, I'm not exactly seeing a lot of other options here, Kibbles, but I take it you've got one? I will go to the plasma drive chambers alone. I will track down the false champion and all who serve him. and I will prepare the grounds for your own hunt. Okay. I mean, I trust Kibbles. Out of the question. An enforcer squad would certainly scare off the vermin, but I am not letting you go alone, servant of death. You and I will go to the chambers together, and together we will bring down all who have dared to insult the Lord Captain. Okay, here we go. Heinrich? Yeah. I'm going too. I have a couple of good friends in the plasma drive chambers. The nosy kind who know everything about everyone. Convincing them shouldn't be difficult, especially if I pull a few favors. It'll be the three of us then. What a company! Heinrich's grim laughter echoes inside the shrine. And once again, he's inserted himself conspicuously right into the middle of our investigation. Though I do appreciate that they always have him and Sour back there, you know, just to keep you guessing. I mean, it's obvious to me at this point that he's our traitor, but I don't think most folks would analyze it nearly as heavily as I tend to. You know, it's the Dungeon Master brain. I latch on to every little detail, every clue and inconsistency. And generally speaking, based on what we've seen, Heinrich is by far our most suspicious new officer. Whereas, yeah, at this point I'm pretty convinced Sourback is safe, and honestly, Forius just hasn't really been around enough to say anything for certain. Oh, and High Confessor Adalbert. He's still up in the air as well. I'm leaning no, but, I mean, there are still some odd things lining up with him. Actually, Forius' absence could be a clue in and of itself. Though I don't feel like that's enough. There is an awkward pause. Cabela takes a long look at the officers' faces, before finally nodding her assent. So be it, but not like this. Much like your faces, your guises are too conspicuous. Yeah, Kibble says the right idea. If you're going down there, you'll want to wear disguises. Otherwise, they'll recognize you on Nemesis. The enforcers will procure regular work clothes for us. We will carry only inconspicuous weapons that we can hide easily in our tool bags. It will help us blend in with the crowd. Before I depart to hunt for Nemesis, I ask the Daemon to bless me. I pledged never to leave your side, yet the hunt demands that I do just that. Grant me this permission by performing the ceremony of twining. Cabela nods toward the altar. When your people have taken their leave, under the gaze of the Undying One, we will begin the rite. Twining? Yeah, Kibbles, I'm going to need some details on that. Last time I twined with someone, it got a little awkward. The rite of blessing for the sacred hunt. With it, the Daemon casts their shadow over the path of carnage. Under your benediction, I will strike harder and tread more softly. Okay, well, not really an answer, but, sure, by all means. Let the twining commence. With your permission, Lord Captain, the Infernus Master and I will take our leave now and set out to prepare for the descent into the chambers. We dare not intrude, your lordship. Do appreciate that. I too will prepare to go down to the plasma drives. Sit down now, Daemon Balin, and listen. Let the ceremony of twining begin. Using a finely honed blade, Cabela carves an intricate symbol into the floor. She then produces a small bundle wrapped in incense-laden parchment and sets it alight. You are my Daemon, I am your blade, and I am honed by your blessing. My arms are strong while your will is strong. And as long as the Undying One hears your prayers, my feet will go unheard. Her blade kisses her palm, and dark blood begins to trickle and spread over the bottom of the ritual cup that has just now appeared in her hands. With our blood, with our will, we shall spin a scarlet web, the symbol of the hunt. May it herald our prey's demise. Cabela puts the dagger into your hands, and you suddenly feel how heavy your eyelids have become. Your heartbeat slows inside your chest. Her words linger, then rush through your mind in a deluge. The heavy scent of incense envelops you and makes your head spin. What is that? What? I feel strange. What's in that smoke? For the twining to happen, you must first expand your mind. See the unseen, hear the unheard. Those who live and die by the tenets of the web often burn sacred essences, and your body is not yet accustomed to them, Daman Valen. Your mind is trying to grasp at its new boundaries. Do not resist. Breathe deeply. Learn. And you expect me to cut myself? Even after all the recent chatter about my blood being a key to the ship's vital systems? The price of victory, the price of defeat, is always measured in blood. Give the Undying One but a few drops today, and he may prevent your flagship from running thick with scarlet rivers tomorrow. I mean, okay. I guess I really don't have any reason to doubt you. I do trust Kibbles. I just don't trust anyone else around her. The entire death cult is looking pretty sus at this point. I am really starting to feel like she might kind of be parallel to the Nemesite, a pawn designed to give the veneer of legitimacy, a public mask to conceal the rot beneath. You grasp the knife and cut yourself. The pain gives way to a burning sensation as Cabela grasps your hand and squeezes it over the ritual cup. But this new discomfort is quickly replaced again, this time by a dull numbness and the faint warmth of blood flowing from your open wound. The twining is the blood oath I have made to my lord. Cabela dips her fingers into the spilt blood and traces a symbol, first on her own forehead, then on yours. It appears to resemble a blade that is cutting through an intricate knot. Ooh, getting naughty. Anoint me with your blessings, Daman Valen, and may the ceremony of twining commence. Cabela's face blurs before your eyes. No matter how hard you try to focus and dispel the vision, in place of her face, you see a death mask, a broken skull with hollow eye sockets. Cabela, you look strange. Like I can see what's inside. The skull grins benignantly. You're learning to see what is hidden beneath the familiar shell. Keep practicing, and years later, you will be able to see the truth, even with your eyes closed. Okay. Well, I bless you on your mission, but please remember, you're there to punish the monsters, not the people they prey on. I know we can't save everyone, but we owe it to them to at least try. There is no turning back for those who have defied the Lord of the Ark, who have traded the arduous path of service for the sweetness of false promises. At least, not commonly. But I will remember your words, Daman. Cabela thinks for a moment. Your body cannot accompany us on this chase, Daman. But your spirit, There is nothing the spirit cannot do. The twining is complete. You and I are now bound by the blood oath. Think of me while I hunt, as will I think of you. Become a thought flowing through my mind. If the Undying One is gracious to us, he will send you dreams, and in those dreams you will see me. If he is more gracious still, those dreams will be truthful. Okay, so just to clarify, we now have linked our minds, and I'm going to see you in my dreams, but this isn't psychic sorcery. This isn't a telepathic link. She snaps in irritation. Do not sully your lips with such suspicions. We are neither witches nor accursed sorcerers. We are his votaries, and for our true service we are thus rewarded. This is no profane psychic art, but the blessing of the Undying One bestowed upon the spinners of the blood-spun web. A thin thread of spiritual kinship that connects the fate of the Domini with those of their shadows. Right, of course, my mistake, because you are very clearly well-versed in those sorts of things, considering I'm the first rogue trader your cult has had direct contact with in generations. Though in retrospect, her fervent belief that her psychic powers are just like a natural cult ability, makes a lot more sense when you consider that the rest of her cult might actually be a hive-minded gene stealer cell. So, how exactly does this all work? Your spirit will come with me to the plasma drive chambers, while your body remains motionless. If the Undying One graces you, you will hear what I hear, see what I see. You will think my thoughts as if they were your own. But if you shout out to me, if you give me an order, I will not hear it. Only the ripples of your mind can reach me through the winding thread. So, like astral projection, gotcha. Alright, Kibbles, I mean, it sounds like this is happening, so let's do it. It's either that or perhaps sit out the adventure, and no one wants that. Wonder if this is all just like an elaborate narrative device just to explain how we follow her for a while instead of our main. You perceive a faint smile from beneath the death mask. Cabela hands you the cup and begins tracing her finger around the bottom while whispering a prayer. Watch now, Daman Valen. What does thy seeing eye behold in the converging patterns of blood? She draws your attention to the symbols she has inscribed. You see shifting images in the blood, a spider crafting a fine web, blurred shadows that could resemble either a swarm of void rats or an enraged hound, crossed blades, a card of the Emperor's Tarot. But as soon as your gaze lingers on any of them, reality bleeds through the fluid shapes. Soon your spirit will be able to follow me. I will bid the servants to carry your body to your chambers, where you will not be disturbed. Wait in silence and safety. For me, the hunt has begun. Cabela's footsteps fade away, melting into the same impenetrable darkness in which your consciousness is extinguished. Oh, and we yet live. Though we are, in fact, following her to the plasma drive. Which, unfortunately, means we should really call it here. We are pushing the hour mark, so yeah, I gotta pack this up if I want to get it done in a timely fashion. That said, very, very interesting. I was kind of hoping for a... Well, I guess technically we had that ship fight. That was fun. They are getting a mite bit loquacious with the narrative, but it is also fairly compelling. Slightly frustrating, because I do feel like we've kind of pegged our primary trader already. Not to mention, of course, Kibble's weird reluctance to accept that she might just be psychic. But then again, I guess, given how she was raised, given that they erased her memories prior to inserting her into this cult, where they just normalized the idea of the Emperor giving you these miraculous visions, I guess it makes sense. I wonder if we will actually be able to catch up with an Emissite. I mean, it's got to be someone we've met, right? It feels like the big reveal of who the Nemesite is would be wasted if it's someone we've never encountered before. Heinrich's definitely up there. He showed up right after the attack. Forius was conspicuously absent. Normally he would be on hand, I imagine, to tend to a high officer like Danrock. His absence could be because he was part of the assault. Adalbert, I mean, he runs the chapel. He could have easily helped them get in. And he did somehow survive down in the catacombs, which, again, might be me overthinking, but it is very strange that they explicitly draw our attention to the Gene Stealers progressing down that hall directly towards him, only to leave him unscathed. Actually, how did he escape the attack on the chapel unscathed? If anyone was going to intervene when they tried to steal the ashes, you would think it would have been him first before Danrock, of all people. In retrospect, he had very little to say during the entire discussion, aside from the very end where he questioned why the rebels had to kill the people whose clothes they stole. Well, we'll see where this takes us, see what else we uncover. I am curious as to just how far we'll be able to go with this before they cut us off, since I have to imagine they're saving at least some things for Act 3 and 4. But I guess we'll see. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.